Haroldo Couto from Caravana do Haroldo, where fans can book spots for Libertadores and Brasileirão matches with the ticket included, has been taking Flamengo supporters to Mengão matches since 1981, including the Club World Cup final. He asked the following. Haroldo sent this here. Daronco handed off the main refereeing decision. He should have gone to see the play, even if he kept the decision to annul it, but it was up to him. So, what do you think?
I agree, because actually, I think VAR said it touched Leo Ortiz, but the doubt isn't even whether it touched Leo, my doubt, okay? It's not even whether it touched Leo Ortiz or not. My biggest doubt is, was there contact with Jorginho? Would the contact with Jorginho, if there was any, make a difference in the offside? That's what I'm not sure about, but he should check it, right? Because the final decision is his, not the VAR's, so he should check it. Now,
some highlights. Any doubt that if it were Palmeiras, that goal wouldn't have counted?
But one important thing for us to highlight, Pedro's goal, not just for tying with Gabigol in total goals for Flamengo. Very important for the match, even more important because of the match itself. The game was tough. Flamengo had already had a goal disallowed, a goal, a real striker's goal.
The guy, Flamengo, seemed a bit shaken by the disallowed goal.
And he's still not in great form. He's still a bit off, right? Yeah.
But he pulled an Indaya today, right? He pulled an Indaya over there today, didn't he? Indaya, he pulled off a little flick over the defender there. Didn't you see it?
I remember seeing it in the first half. But he's still in a very inconsistent phase, right? He's not far off the Pedro we saw at his best last year, just to use a more recent example. A goal like that is key for a striker, winning a header after a cross, battling for the ball, excellent. And the fans, right? The tickets were a bit cheaper, and the fans sang, packed the stadium, and supported a lot, even with the loss. Up until that moment, Flamengo was losing, and the fans were still supporting a lot. You can see it was a different crowd. It was much less of a bandwagon crowd, much more die-hard, much more active and participative. And here, look, news from Pedro Ramiro. Fernando Diniz is one of the names on Corinthians' radar to replace Dorival Jr.
I knew it. That's why I said it. Are you ready? You knew?
I thought it was just speculation.
I mentioned it earlier since I already knew.
Brazilian soccer, right? Pure essence of Brazilian soccer.
What's up, David? Check. Do we have time or not?
We do. Bye.
So, if we have time, we're going to follow Leonardo Jardim's press conference here now, and we'll comment on it.
Very anxious to see Bruno Henrique play on your team. Because of your entire history as a coach and having fast players through the middle and everything else, I wanted to hear a bit about your intentions for him and understand if, once he's really in form, maybe Pedro's and Arrascaeta's roles will overlap in some games, and Bruno Henrique might start playing inside like in some of your other teams.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to wish a happy Easter to the nation, to everyone here. Secondly, I want to highlight that the atmosphere in the stadium today was magnificent, with families, with people supporting the team the whole time. Remember that even at Red Bull, the team didn't have a satisfactory performance, and our supporters group supported us throughout the whole game. That's why it's important. They are like a 12th player and important for us. Regarding the situation with Bruno Henrique, everyone knows him. He is one of Flamengo's most important players of the last decade. He is a player who can play 3 positions in attack, either on the wing, inside, as a second striker, or up front. It changes the characteristics of the game a little. Certainly, it's something important regarding our current squad. I'll go over it in the analysis, as the analysis explains a bit about the situation with the players. I told the players at the end of the game, and I said it was only possible to have such a decisive second half because in the first half, our patterns of play, our attitude, our pressing, how much we made the opponent run, they couldn't keep up for the whole game. I spoke with the opposing coach who said we couldn't keep up with you in the second half. And that's what I told the players. With the squad we have, the options we have to start the game with this kind of intensity, wear down the opponent, Many times we won't score the goal. Many times we will score because we had two chances right in front of the goal that we ended up missing. The ball didn't go in. It wasn't a goal.
Do you understand something?
One thing,
What thing? Only one thing. Do you understand one thing? One thing? I can joke since I'm Portuguese, right? You know that? I'm a Portuguese citizen, so I just don't have the accent, but I like the accent. Let's go.
you are a Just Us brace.
Yeah, but I like the accent. I joke around and I like it. I think it's really cool, really nice. I'm very proud to be Portuguese.
What he just said is really important for us to highlight.
Portuguese families aren't connected to Vasco. I know many Portuguese who support Flamengo.
For example, Zico's father, Mr. Antunes.
That's right, Mr. Antunes. But just to say something very important, man, I think he makes it clear that he knows he has depth and the other teams don't. In other words, if he tires out the rival team, he knows that the players who come in during the second half to substitute won't have the same quality as those who were on the field in the first half. He counts on that in the second half when the guys get tired. That's what he made clear, right?
Especially with defensive players, right? Clubs rarely substitute them, let alone all at once, right? Teams that do a lot of marking get tired, just like with Jorge Jesus, which is what I was about to say. In 2019, Flamengo beat Grêmio at Maracanã with that 5-0. The first half was tough. It was only 1-0. In the second half, Grêmio just collapsed, right? It was very similar to this. And also the final itself against River Plate. River Plate's first half was better than Flamengo's. Up until about 10 or 15 minutes in, River Plate was still holding up. And then after that, River Plate started getting tired. Galhardo mentioned that at the time too. So you see how the teams play to keep Flamengo from playing, right? Flamengo has quality. That's it.
Balboa.
Moye, Grêmio.
Galhardo no...
Existe.
Jardim opens up about Flamengo's Balboa effect. Rock Balboa.
Balboa would take a beating, but then he managed to turn things around.
He didn't just take a beating and turn it around. He'd tire out his opponent by letting the guy hit him until the other wore out.
Hitting tires you out more than taking hits. Sometimes. Yeah, I know, because I've practiced. I've trained boxing. I even fought in Thailand.
Yeah, so it's cool, you see?
I didn't know about that, you know?
I'm not going to mess with you. I'm not going to get involved.
I fought a Swede who weighed almost 100 kilos.
You faced Tongpo. Damn, I don't know. I don't know if it's Tongpo. Tongpo, the bald kickboxer with the ponytail from the movie Kickboxer.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a joke, like a prank. But no.
It wasn't a Swede.
It was a big Swede. Damn, a really big Swede.
Damn, huge underpants, huge underpants. Come on, let's go.
But we had those two situations in the first half. But we wore down the opponent when, in the second half, we came back into the game and kept the same style with the same intensity. Even missing, even with a disallowed goal, even with the game being stopped for 5 minutes, which could have broken the rhythm. Even with those handicaps, even after the team conceded while we were on top of the game, we were still able to score 3 goals and win the game on merit. That's why the players should be congratulated. The last game didn't go very well. We called attention to it. We didn't honor the jersey, but today it was a magnificent attitude. Besides the victory, it was a magnificent attitude.
The player, attitude to your right here, to the right. Rodrigo Cerqueira, Flamengo's team.
Magnificent attitude.
Personal matter. No, I'm not. He is charismatic. Yes, Flamengo starts their Libertadores journey on Wednesday, which is a very important competition in the club's history, especially in recent history. There were 4 finals in 7 years, 3 titles, and for the first time, Flamengo starts as the Brazilian team with the most titles. Until now, they were tied with others, but now they lead Brazilian teams in titles and are setting their sights on the continent's biggest champions. And because of that, do you think the responsibility, the pressure become even greater for a club that has its national rivals? Now they're looking to become the biggest champion in the Americas and to equal and surpass the other great clubs on the continent in the future.
For sure, the size of Flamengo, both nationally and internationally, is so great that our responsibility is to play, to try to win every title, both inside and outside the country. It's a big responsibility. We have the Copa do Brasil, we have the Libertadores, we have the National Championship. These are three competitions that we have a responsibility to compete in. To keep winning, Flamengo hasn't always won in the last 5 years, from 2019 until now, 6 or 7 years. But it has the responsibility because it builds a squad for that. And we, as coaches, staff, and players, have to approach all these competitions with the utmost seriousness.
Porque
Championship,
and we want,
to say that it is.
and it's a responsibility and exposed in our perception. So the correction you made regarding what Danilo mentioned as shame, from midweek until now, it really was an issue. This is very important because it's our responsibility. Was there anything beyond what you worked on in this quick interval between games compared to today? And speaking of reintegration and comebacks, how do you see this issue with Plata, who was included again today? He entered the game, and we saw his role on the field looked a bit different from how he'd been used before. How would you summarize Plata's situation now?
Plata's situation is what I've already told you. At first, he wasn't fully integrated. He went to the national team, managed to play 2 good games, and then came back. He's working with the group, getting more and more integrated. He's a player I count on because he's a quality player. He's got intensity, and often for the game, he's even more intense than others. Therefore, he's an extremely interesting player, but he has to follow the same guidelines as the others, and that's what we're doing. But this time it was for a different reason. Bruno's coming in, and he's a player who also has that potential to be in the future. Important.
Coach, Bruno Villafranca from TVA Critica, we could talk, of course, as you have said.
And it turned out that he didn't talk about what change he made.
The first question, which was the most important, if I were there, if I had been the one to ask the question, I would have insisted. That would have been the first question.
Yeah, man, that was missing. But anyway, he makes it clear that I think it's about attitude, right? The attitude he wanted to change, that he made some demands to Plata and so on. I think that if Plata wants to go to the World Cup, he has to play. He needs to play. He needs to be in good shape. And I'll say this to Flamengo. It's not that Flamengo is being nice to Plata, giving him an opportunity. Flamengo knows he's an asset and that they need him to be in good shape to sell after the World Cup, right?
He's crucial for the squad on the right wing. No other right winger can match his speed. There's simply no one like him on the right.
He's important, but Flamengo wants to increase the value of their asset.
That's him, but I'm referring to the technique.
And after the World Cup, in the next transfer window, you negotiate and sign someone right away, right? I don't know if you'll find one either.
It's very difficult.
Speaking in general, now you made a point about Gonzalo Plata. I wanted to also highlight what Arrascaeta has been showing, and in this case, the focus is a bit broader, because it's not just about Leonardo Jardim. Here at Flamengo, since the beginning of the season, there's been a lot of talk that he's not delivering everything that a player as brilliant as he is could deliver. I wanted to know your assessment since you arrived. How have you found Arrascaeta? Because in my view, it doesn't seem like he's lacking effort. He runs a lot, he works really hard. But that brilliant touch still isn't happening as often as we're used to seeing. I'd like to know what you think about that. Thank you.
I definitely know Arrascaeta very well, his entire career, both before and after Flamengo, as I had already told you in 2019. I followed Flamengo for a bit and saw how important he was. Last year he had a fantastic season, also starting off slowly and then developing his style of football. We know he's going to get better, I'm sure of it. And he's an important player, whether starting the matches or coming off the bench. He's a player, like you said, he's talented. He's a talented player who can be extremely decisive when he's at his best. But he's a player that we, the staff, like, and all the fans like him too. And we believe that this year we'll still have the best Arrascaeta. But knowing that the season is also long, there are still 9 months left, and we have to manage everyone. And I don't want to let anyone drop off because we're going to need everyone. Even today, one of the players who turned in his best performance was Ayrton. I congratulate him. I'm one of the first to encourage him. But today he played a more positive game, more in line with what he can deliver. And that's why we want to bring the group together, because the options have to be available. In soccer, from one day to the next, there's an injury, there's a suspension, there's a player who has to sit out. And we have to have others to play. That's why, because of the responsibility of playing in all the competitions, there will always be some small changes. Like I said, I'm not a fan of the idea that Team B plays today and Team A plays tomorrow. No, there will always be player management, and for sure for the next game there will be another change. So the team can stay fresh and so everyone understands that they are useful and can be important during the season.
Jardim, just to keep it simple here, before you arrived, when you were about to arrive, there was a lot of discussion.
We were talking about the question of whether you asked or not.
I didn't.
Stay in the game. Oh, okay. Riza, I'll listen to Riza, but just to talk about, you want to comment a bit on his last statement?
Yeah, about Ayrton, I think Ayrton, like I said, is a weak fullback defensively in building up the play. I think he's weak. I think he's better as a winger. No one, not even Leonardo Jardim, has tried him as a winger until now. If I were a coach, anyone, Filipe or even Jardim, I would have put Ayrton as a winger a long time ago. And in this case, Lino, who's a winger playing as a fullback, I would have made that switch. I think it would work. Lino, who has already played as a fullback, even as a wingback at Atletico de Madrid, would have done that.
That's good. That's good. That's a good idea. Okay, a good idea. Let's listen here.
About the role that Pedro would have on your team. And many people even said, oh, Pedro won't play with Leonardo Jardim because he doesn't have the intensity to press so high anyway. And we've seen the opposite. Pedro has had a lot of minutes with you, a great run of games, playing a slightly different role, sometimes even playing almost like a midfielder. I'd like you to talk about Pedro's importance in your game plan. People used to think he wouldn't even play that much with you.
Well, Pedro is a player who today scored the goal that I think tied Gabriel.
What did you say?
Gabriel?
No, he's definitely not playing as a midfielder. He's a number nine who moves around a bit more, but he's not a midfielder at all. Yeah, no.
He's not at all.
I take the top scorers. I'm satisfied that the two top scorers were coached by me last year and this year. Pedro is a player who has his own unique characteristics. And we've already had this conversation with the squad. Sometimes pressing well doesn't mean you have to run a lot. You have to know the timing of when to press. Pedro has been the team's main striker, but that doesn't mean he'll always play, right? His minutes will have to be managed because he's not able to play 8,000 minutes during the season. He's an important player, and I believe in him because a forward does more than just press. A forward helps in the build-up, has finishing ability, and there are many aspects. It's not just about pressing. That's why I believe in Pedro. I believe he wants a really good forward here in Brazil.
What is it?
Message for Filipe Luís, huh?
Of course.
And I'll use him when I think I have to use him. And at this stage, I've been using him a lot. We're also going to have BH back now, who is also a player that gives us another dimension in attack. And that's what I mentioned earlier. I want to have everyone available to start, to better manage the squad, and keep the intensity of the game high.
He will have fun.
Garden Brancapo.
Lucas has to listen, Lucas.
In the first half today, we saw a lot of long balls from Santos winning the second ball. Some transitions too, Flamengo running back a lot. And in the second half, no. We already saw Flamengo pressing more, running forward, pressing. You also mentioned the physical aspect, and the team looks physically stronger in the second half. But I think there was a change in attitude for the second half, or a better compactness of the team to play a much better second half than the first today, in terms of dominating the opponent and creating opportunities. Thank you.
That's right. You analyze Flamengo's game. For sure, Flamengo's game in the second half was better than in the first. We need to analyze, since Flamengo never plays alone, there's always another team involved. And nowadays in this game, Santos as a strategy used players with physical strength marking man-to-man, running all over the field. I want both forwards pressing up front on every ball. I want the midfielders chasing the fullbacks, defenders chasing the forwards. They did this for a while. In the second half, the energy ran out because it's not possible to do this for 90 minutes. It's impossible. There's no team in the world, not just Brasilia. In the world of football, there's never been any team that can do it. When it gets to 50 or 60 minutes, there's already a marking that fails. The timing is off. And then what happens? The other team has the ball. It starts to show the best situation, the best decision. These kinds of situations create the opportunities. And that's why Flamengo's football improved. But in terms of the game was more or less always at the same level, right? The game stayed at the same level. I thought that the opponent, due to the intensity we applied, had a big drop in the second half. And I even talked to Cuca, and Cuca told me I couldn't handle the second half. We spent all our energy in the first half. The second was tough. Even winning 1-0, since we ended up scoring a goal a bit against the run of play. It was an advantage that could have given Santos a bigger morale boost, but even so, it was already impossible for them to cope with our movement.
What does Pitola mean? Pitola?
Yeah, he said it there on the same Pitola. Pitola.
Same Pitola, same vibe, right?
Yeah, Pitola, Pitola.
Hey, David, so if you guys want to subscribe over there too, show some love to Encanados na Jogada.
It's really Encanados na Jogada.
Encanados na Jogada will be doing a collab with us. I'm going to split it into 2 videos. You'll watch 2 videos, more clips on our channels, and I'll be adding David to the collab. If he's awake, he'll accept the collab. I'll wake up.
I'll wake up. Eventually, I wake up.
He'll accept the collab when he wakes up. If you don't see it, David hasn't woken up yet. All right, is that it, Papa? Hey, David.
It's important for us to point out here how absurd it was for Filipe Luís to put Plata as a false 9 and leave Pedro on the bench. Man, even though Pedro wasn't doing that well, it's hard to swallow this one, right?
No way, no Filipinhos. He gave a reason, gave me a reason, and Leonardo Jardim took a jab at him. He took a jab at Filipe Luís. That's it, take care.
To be a forward, you need to do more than just score, right, Filipino?
Yeah,
Do what?
that's it. He gave an answer, Guys, we're in this together. Take care, thanks. Subscribe to the channels. Greetings from this Flamengo fan. This is Flamengo. Thanks, David. Take care, we're in this together.
Thank you.